everybody. So glad you've joined us. We are here for part 2 of the Fearless Town Hall. We're going to have a great time asking some fabulous questions from around the world and discussing a topic that has become very important in our day and time. Our world has become drenched in a Niagara of fear. And so we're going to take that on and we're going to talk about what we can do about that, how we can be released from that. And I can't think of anybody I'd rather continue that conversation with than Max Lucado. Max is a longtime pastor here at Oak Hills that we're coming to you live from in San Antonio, Texas. He's a best-selling author of over 65 million books, and he's my friend. Please help me welcome Max Lucado.
Hi, everybody. What a good-looking group. You don't look afraid. Where do you go, and where will you turn, and where will you be the next time you see a reason for fear? Did you hear a siren today on the highway? Did you have questions about your health today? How far do you have to read in the newspaper before somebody is forecasting another downturn in the economy or upswing in global warming? The plague of our day begins with the word terror. It's enough to make you want to go underground, right? And just kind of get away from it all. And it's enough to make you wonder, what in the world was Jesus thinking when he asked that question, why are you afraid? He asked it in the middle of a storm. His disciples had followed him onto a boat onto the Sea of Galilee. And so the boat was just in the middle of this storm. And the disciples looked over and they saw Jesus. And Jesus was, does anyone know? He was sound asleep. Thunder roars, Jesus snores. And when the disciples saw that he was asleep, they were perturbed. They didn't like that thought. And so they woke him up. And they woke him up with this question. Mark is the one who wrote the question down. Teacher, don't you care that we're about to perish? Teacher, don't you care that we're about to perish? Now I want you to notice what fear did to them. Fear caused them to question the goodness of God. Their fear had them so wound up that they thought God was a bad God. He doesn't care. And Jesus looked at them and he asked them that question. He said, now why are you afraid? Why are you afraid? As we start, can I ask you that question? That's a good question. That is a very good question. Why are you afraid? It's certainly not because fear does you any good. Are you a better person because of your fear? Does your spouse, do your children ever say, man, I'm so thankful that my dad worries so much? Do you ever call your doctor up and say, Doc, ever since you told me to be a hypochondriac, man, I have felt great? It doesn't work. Nothing good comes of extended fear. So why are you afraid? Well, it could be because you live in a fearful world. Or it could be because you don't know that fear is an option. What if fear is an option? And what if you could fear less tomorrow than you do today? So we have some great questions. We have an opportunity to have a conversation about fear. And I'm looking forward to this, and I hope you are as well. Susan?
Yes, Max, our first question is from Twitter. And it asks, Max, what do you think people are most afraid of? And are there any fears that you have struggled with?
The big fear that people have is this: the fear that they don't matter, the fear that they don't count, the fear that they make no contribution. And the big answer to that fear is given through Christ when he talks to us about how much we matter to him. He finds the most marginalized people in the world, like the Samaritan woman who had been through 5 divorces, like Little Zacchaeus, the troublemaker who had ponzied his way into wealth but didn't have any friends. Had a big mansion but no one to come over for dinner. Jesus went over and had lunch with him. The stories of the Bible are full of the way Jesus went to people who probably thought they didn't matter. And he said, you do matter. But what about me and my fears? I think it's possible to get to the point where you can deal with fears quickly. And can I say, I'm learning to do that? I've been a worrywart all my life. And I've been up early so many mornings that I was up before the roosters because of anxiety. But you know what I've learned to do? I've learned that the moment those worries appear, I treat them with prayer. The second thing I've learned to do is keep a list of worries and then go back and read it every so often to see if any of those worries have come true. And you know what I've learned? Most of them don't. They were just wasted energy. And you know what else I've learned to do? I've learned to create a group of friends to pray with me. And I've found that that is so encouraging. A circle of people you know who will covenant with you to pray about your anxiety. Because I believe that with prayer, you can move forward. Susan?
Thank you, Max. Janet says, one of my fears is never finding who or what I was made to be. I thought I was supposed to be a wife and mom, but it's not worked out. Yeah. I don't know where to begin. Yeah.
Life just doesn't work out like we think it will, does it? And the reason it doesn't is because life changes. We don't like change. Change is very scary because change takes us into the unknown. And fear, again, is this resistance to chaos. We don't like the unknown. Now, fortunately, the Bible talks a lot about change. In fact, in the book of Ecclesiastes, there's a whole section of seasons. There's a season for this, a season for that, a season for this, a season for that. I count 21 different seasons. And one of the messages of the Bible is that life is always changing. So, if you don't want any change, go to a soda machine. Because that's the only place you won't find any change. Change is coming. It's coming down the pike. So get ready for it. And that was the message that Jesus gave the disciples the night before he was crucified. He was preparing them for the biggest change of their lives. That their leader was going to be crucified and he was going to be buried. And so to prepare them, he said, I want to introduce you to the Holy Spirit. And the way that God helps us cope with change is through the presence of the Holy Spirit. In John chapter 14, Jesus said, the Spirit of the truth, whom the world cannot receive because it neither sees him nor knows him, but you know him, he dwells with you and he will be with you. I will not leave you as orphans. I will come to you. So the promise, he says, is not there will be no change, but the promise, he says, is I'll be with you during the change. In fact, he says change is necessary. In order for us to have the presence of the Holy Spirit over the whole world, there needed to be the exiting of God who came in the flesh in the form of Jesus Christ. And Jesus said, but the Helper, the Holy Spirit, whom the Father will send in my name, he will teach you all things, and he will bring to your remembrance all things that I have said to you. Peace I'll leave with you, my peace I give unto you. So here's the thing about change. You don't know what's coming down the pike. I don't know what's coming down the pike. But we do know who is leading us down the pike. And he will not leave us alone. He'll walk with us through the change that comes. So just relax. Embrace the change as something good and know that if God brings change, it's because he thinks you're better off with it than without it.